Shroud of Rahmon is... It's nice. It's fine. It's good. Let's just go on to the trial.
Why are you so afraid of?
Oh, all right. Shroud of Rahmon is another lightweight entry in the second season, a funnish, noir caper fantasy mashup type of deal. The nature of the episode, along with the way in which its construction actually makes it less interesting on rewatches, means the episode feels a little skippable to me, which is a problem because nested in it is a rather significant event for Angel's second season.
The greater scheme, the big picture. Nothing really matters. Forever. I'm better than anyone. There's a lot worse things out there than such. It doesn't work in spite of you. Nothing should do matters. It works with us.
Why is it that I'm not on the floor this time?
Take all that matters is what we do.
The episode opens with the how we got here trope.
I'd like to say a few words to mark the occasion.
No, wait. Back up. Let me start earlier.
We see events happening near or at the climax of the story. In this case, Wesley being in an interrogation room talking like an old-timey detective.
I'm quite good with the ladies myself, you know.
Which has a later magical explanation. Apparently, Angel is going to bite someone in the episode. 1 week earlier, or whatever, Cordy has herself a new do. Angel and Gunn are having a chat with a contact about a big job that is going to go down, and Angel gives Gunn the "I'll take it from here."
And what I'm supposed to do, sit home and knit?
I could use a sweater, something dark.
Angel stops by Darla's old digs, and Kate is hanging about looking for her as well. I continue to find this version of Kate a little tedious, since when is she afraid of him? Angel stakes the Rat Pack pyre and Jersey Shores his way back to their hideout.
Two things bringing in the chicks. The do and the ride.
Gunn likewise cons his way into the crew, and there's some fun to be had as Angel and he both try and save each other by getting the other one kicked out. Everyone's role in the crew starts to make some sense. The demon who lifts, the demon with no body heat, and the demon who drills stuff.
The other one may or may not be one M. James Menlo, who likes to crack bank vaults.
Or he's a burn victim? Confusing design choice, especially with Candyman in the mix. Anyway, Kate gets herself involved and, in fitting with her character, runs in without backup. Cordy and Wes suss out what and where the Shroud is, and that the Shroud makes everyone crazy, though exactly how is a little confusing in the episode. The Shroud starts to do its work, Kate does her Kate thing, and Angel bites her to save her, though conveniently the present members of Team Angel only wake up just in time to see him bite her. Angel and Gunn fight, but Angel regains his composure just long enough to get the Shroud outside and burn it, and Wesley still can't think of anything.
Flashback humor.
Kate comes in, sets him free, and we see exactly why Angel did what he did. I don't have a ton for you on this one. An odd consequence of Angel's Season 2 arc being so good might be that since Angel has been hitting so many dingers, decent episodes like this one feel even more bloopy. Rahmon breaks up the flow of what might be one of the greatest episode stretches in the entire series, from Dear Boy to Redefinition. Funny enough, I remember having a similar sensation of Arcus Interruptus in Buffy's second season, with episodes like Phases and Killed by Death. Both shows smoothed out that experience in later seasons. Well, almost. Anecdotally, I found Shroud of Rahmon to be a divisive episode in the fan community. Either it makes a few fans' favorite one-off lists, or I read groans at its mention. Your mileage is probably going to be proportional to how fun you find the noirish magical hijinks take on the Ocean's 11 caper genre, multiplied or divided by how fun you find David's performance as Jadon, the Rat Pack pyre. I think I was entertained on first run-through of the series, but consider the episode pretty skippable since. An episode doesn't really have an obligation to be entertaining more than once, but usually the phenomena works the other way for me, with the Buffyverse, our critical examination elevating my experience of an episode, as with Guys Will Be Guys. Rahmon is another breather episode like Guys Will Be Guys, except that it isn't very funny.
Where's Lester?
Yeah, where's Lester? We can't get the ball rolling without Lester. Who's Lester?
You're funny, vampire.
And any movie or show using the "it all went horribly wrong" stuff, as in beginning the episode at the ending with a cliffhanger and then flashing back, has a bizarre quirk to it, in that it generally only works fine once. Any rewatch tends to increase diminishing returns, and Rahmon's cold open now feels a little slow to me instead of fun. For some reason, I was also feeling caper fatigue when I watched it this time around, even though I checked and was surprised to see that the only other real use of the caper so far was in the terrific Blind Date.
Oh!
I suppose Ramon is more usual suspect than Blind Date's Ocean's 11. Ramon is also the hardest an episode has noired since Are You Now or Have You Ever, which can be fun, but Ramon lacks the same sort of dramatic or thematic density of either Blind Date or Are You Now. And yes, while I enjoy when the normally dour Angel pretends to be someone else undercover, the painting tour guide in She, as an example, sometimes David goes a little too broad for me in a show like Angel.
Herb Saunders, Baltimore.
It's Herb Saunders.
Plus, I was never quite able to shake a grating association I had with his J-Don.
Yeah, you know, the trip was fabo. I love flying coach.
Well, Miss Muffet sat on a tuffet.
Two things bringing in the chicks. The dough and the ride.
And she's looking down at me like, hey, do I know you?
Oh, but don't see anybody I know.
They're not completely avoidable in a review, but I try not to traffic heavily in nitpicks. Generally, my own are easy for me to ignore when there's a big dramatic punch or a whole bunch of laughs. But apparently, when an episode doesn't shake enough shiny things in front of my face, I can't seem to stop myself from getting distracted by them. So, the Shroud's power has been exacerbated by the glass breaking, but it is so powerful it started affecting everyone before the case was opened, specifically on the guard who works at the museum.
I can feel it. You feel it? This is gonna be amazing.
How is this thing a thing? And at a museum for muggles, no less. If the Shroud is this powerful, even in its case, why hasn't total bedlam already ensued at the museum? Also, I don't understand the way the Shroud's power works, and that does have some implications for the theme of the episode.
I'm not the bad guy. I'm the good guy. I'm the good guy. Oh, wait. The bad guy.
Get it? Because Angelus sees. So, with some of our usual suspects, it seems like the Shroud gives a big jolt to their id.
It makes people bad, although it's amazing how good I feel.
Which works well then with our understanding of vampires being id monsters. Angel and Gunn get territorial and want to go it alone. The human gets greedy. The demons get violent. This would also work as an explanation for why Angel is able to resist the Shroud's power enough to save Kate at the end.
But I've had a demon inside me for a couple 100 years.
He's been learning to resist the yellow-eyed id monster inside him for years. But a single episode of shoplifting aside, Wes and Cordy mostly just seem to be acting drunk.
Maybe we should split up.
No, too dangerous. We'd better stick together.
Right. My teeth are so big.
Speaking of Kate, Angel saving her here informally puts an end to the incessant Kate-nanigans that started after The Prodigal.
What I do care about is ridding this city of your kind.
My kind.
The kind that killed my father.
To say her character began Season 1 as tropey can hardly be considered a criticism in the Buffyverse, which was assembled almost entirely from familiar ones.
What is your childhood trauma?
And then innovated on them from there.
Don't be embarrassed. We're family.
I always thought there were a number of interesting directions the show could have gone with her, including after her father's death, but one of the least interesting and most difficult to pull off strikes me as making her a constantly adversarial lone wolf agitator to our main ensemble. Yes, I get the father pain. I understand her motivation and why she does what she does, but that doesn't make her a fun or captivating character. There are a few problems. The first one is the core cast will always get the lion's share of screen time. We, the audience, spend all of our time on their struggles, identify with their motivations and their arcs. Without dedicating an equal amount of screen time to her off on her own, think all the conversations between Faith and the mayor, eventually Kate just began to feel tedious. There are passing similarities to Angel's arc, and maybe Kate was intended to act as a reflection of that, but Angel turning to Angelus in Buffy Season 2 isn't the same because we spent lots of time with Angelus and Spike and Drew. The turn was a case of magical intervention, not one that constantly reflected Angel's character, and Angelus was also a big bad supervillain.
You know what the worst part was, huh?
Do you know how I got these scars?
At some point, Kate ceased to be a character for a while and began acting solely as a source of conflict for plots, a la the Joyce effect. Or worse,
You're a girl.
Someone who's not even a person lecturing me on most people, it's kind of funny.
she served the story, but the stories rarely served her. Yes, I get her background in beef, but in the face of a train of demons that Angel kills and all the times that she was wrong about him,
And sooner or later, that excuse just stops working.
Though her arc over the coming handful of episodes now mercifully redirects for a bit. Cordy's diatribe in the middle of the episode about sacrificing women always makes me want to stand up and cheer. Even if her hair in this one is... I mean, it's nice. Actually, according to the DVD commentary, the whole thing was an inside joke. Charisma was begging the producers to let her cut her hair because it was too heavy and bulky. They did, and the first result was, as she describes it herself, a bit of a disaster that they worked on for the next season and a half. I also think the name of the episode is cute. I wasn't able to confirm that this was where the title came from, but follow my logic. The Shroud of Turin is a length of linen cloth bearing the negative image of a man. Some claim the image depicts Jesus, and the fabric is the burial shroud in which he was wrapped after the crucifixion. So you might say it's the Shroud of Jesus, or the Shroud of Jesus. From there we get Shroud of Rahmon. I like it. It seems like the Shroud's history confirms the play on words as well.
In 1803, the Shroud was removed from its casing. The entire population of El Encanto went insane.
And that's all I've really got on this one. The rest feels either a little thematically repetitious of things we've already seen, Gunn and Angel running into trouble when they're off on their own, Kate running in with no backup, or conflicts that don't really go anyplace, like Gunn and Angel's specific personal conflict in this one over who gets to be the leader. I mean, Angel drank human blood from a living person for the first time in the series. That's a pretty big deal, but unlike other incredibly significant arc or character details nested in tonal departures, the nature of Rahmon as an episode kind of undermines the gravitas of that event for me. This should feel incredibly significant. Instead, at the end of the episode, when Cordy and Wes are worrying about Angel drinking human blood, I just want to say, turn those frowns upside down, you two. This is no biggie. The last time Angel drank human blood, all that happened was he cut ties with everyone who loves and supported him to go and fight evil alone, and the way he sees...